I caught my boyfriend cheating on me. During a live stream, he begged me to co-host. 20,000 people watched my heartbreak. In real time, his mic was still on. When he whispered she wasn't supposed to find out like this, I disappeared offline for weeks. And when I came back, let's just say he was the one asking for a collab. If you'd asked me a year ago what my life looked like, I would have said this content creator girlfriend of a rising Twitch star, living in our cute little apartment, planning matching Halloween costumes, and watching fan edits of us with sappy music. I mean, cringe, but it felt like a dream. His name was Logan. Tall, funny, knew how to work a camera and an audience. He had that boy next door charm, with just enough edge to seem mysterious. His community adored him. They called us Loglay Logan and Layla. That's me, Layla. I made cozy lifestyle videos, study vlogs, cottagecore type stuff. Think candles, plants, and soft piano music. We met at a YouTube networking event. I'd been fangirling a little, okay, a lot. His subscriber count was 10 times mine. But he came up to me first, complimented my editing style, asked to grab coffee. I was done for. He made me feel seen in a way no one ever had. We clicked instantly. Fast forward 6 months, and we were basically inseparable. I moved in. We made couple content. He'd sneak into my vlogs with messy hair and sleepy eyes. Fans would swoon. Everything looked perfect. Keyword looked. Looking back now, there were signs. Late night mod calls. Random Discord notifications he'd rush to silence. A weird defensiveness anytime I asked who M was the username. Always in his chat. Always donating. Always flirting. But I didn't want to be that girlfriend. The clingy, paranoid one. Besides, we had a rule: if something felt off, we'd talk about it. Total transparency, he called it. What a joke. Anyway, this particular disaster started with a surprise collab stream. Logan came bouncing into the kitchen while I was filming a Reset My Sunday video, waving his phone like a maniac. "We hit 200K, he shouted. "I want to do a couple stream to celebrate. Just us. Retro games, QA, the works." I was touched. We hadn't streamed together in weeks, and fans kept asking. He said he missed me, said it would mean a lot, so I agreed. I wish I hadn't. The stream started out fine. Chill vibes, goofy banter, lots of Kirin. "You two are goals." In the chat. But about an hour in, he got weird, jumpy, distracted. His phone kept lighting up. Once he muted his mic and leaned off camera to answer a call. I pretended not to notice. Then came the game switch. He loaded up this party game one that reads out prompts from your phone and fills them in with answers from the players. Think Cards Against Humanity, but somehow more chaotic. The twist? The answers are anonymous, until you reveal them. I didn't love the idea, but he insisted. "It'll be hilarious," he said. "Trust me." Prompt 1. "Things you've done behind your partner's back." He laughed. "Oof, that's brutal." Answers flashed on screen. "Ate the last slice of pizza. Stayed up, playing Valorant till 4 a.m. Hooked up with someone from Discord." Oops. The chat exploded. Everyone thought it was a joke. I wanted to think it was a joke, but Logan's face froze. I looked at him. Really looked. And something shifted in his expression. Before I could say anything, his mic still on picked up his voice. A whisper. Half panicked. She wasn't supposed to find out like this. Then chaos. My heart dropped into my stomach. The chat went ballistic. Mods scrambling. Emotes flying. And me, just sitting there, live, with 20,000 people watching my world collapse. I ended the stream without a word. The screen went black, and so did everything else. The second I hit end stream, it was like the sound came rushing back into the room. My ears were ringing, heart racing, and I couldn't catch a full breath. I stood up too fast, nearly knocking over my camera light. Logan was still frozen in his chair, one hand hovering over his mouse like he was debating whether to run or reboot the damage. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. My throat felt like it had been welded shut. He finally spoke, voice low, all faux, soft, and guilty. "Lila, just listen." I grabbed my phone, my laptop, my hard drives. Everything that was mine, that had my name on it, I stuffed into a tote bag, like I was escaping a fire. And honestly, I was. Because what just happened wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was premeditated sabotage. Broadcasted live. Logan followed me down the hall. Whisper yelling like that would soften the betrayal somehow. It didn't mean anything. It was months ago, before you moved in. I didn't even know if we were serious. Then I spun around so fast he actually flinched. "We were filming boyfriend tag videos and saying I love you on camera, Logan. You knew exactly how serious it was." He blinked like he didn't know which lie to lean into. I didn't wait for another excuse. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I closed it. Quietly. Calmly. That hurt him more. I stayed at my friend Cassie's for the first night. She was the only one who hadn't fangirled over Logan, and always had that sixth sense about him. She let me cry it out on her tiny couch, while her dog kept trying to offer me a sock, like it was a comfort prize. Meanwhile, my phone was exploding. Notifications, nonstop. DMs from strangers, fan pages, even brands. People screenshotting the moment, posting clips, tagging me in edits with you. Deserve better captions and sad Taylor Swift songs. It should have felt validating. It didn't. It felt like my pain had gone viral. Worse, Logan hadn't posted a single thing. No apology, no clarification, nothing. Like maybe if he stayed quiet, it'd just blow over. Spoiler, it didn't. By day 3, Justice for Layla was trending. Someone made merch with my sad face from the stream. A hoodie that said, "She wasn't supposed to find out like this in Comic Sans." It sold out in 2 hours. Cassie said I should sue. But honestly, I didn't even want revenge. I just wanted silence, space, sleep that didn't end in dreams of Logan kissing someone who wasn't me. So I ghosted the internet, logged out of everything, didn't even tell my followers what happened. I just evaporated. And in that weird, echoey quiet, I finally started hearing myself again. The first few days offline felt like detox. No pings, no heart emojis, no performative "you okay queen?" Messages from creators who'd never DM'd me before the drama. Just me, my iced coffee, and a crushing weight on my chest I couldn't quite name. Cassie offered to let me stay as long as I wanted, and I almost took her up on it. But after 5 days of her living room floor, waking up to the smell of her roommate's protein pancakes, and stepping over 3 different ring lights just to get to the bathroom, I needed air, space, something that wasn't laced with Logan's name or my own pity. So I found a tiny Airbnb on the coast, one of those weird A-frame cabins that looked like a Pinterest board come to life. I packed a duffel bag, deleted all my social apps, and left without telling anyone but Cassie. I didn't even bring my camera. For the first time in years, I wasn't filming my life. I wasn't curating my pain into pastel montages with soft indie music. I just existed. I watched waves crash and made my own coffee, and journaled until my fingers cramped. I sobbed over photos I forgot were still in my phone. Logan holding my hand in the snow, Logan kissing my forehead while I pretended to be asleep. I replayed every moment of that stream in my head like it was on a loop, looking for the split second when I should have known. But here's the thing, no one tells you about betrayal. It never looks like betrayal when it's happening. It looks like trust. It looks like someone asking you to stream, because it'll be fun. It looks like inside jokes and forehead kisses and borrowed hoodies that suddenly feel radioactive. And the grief? It's not just losing him. It's losing the version of yourself who believed that love was enough. I spent hours just sitting in that cabin, feeling every ache, not numbing it with work or validation or content, just letting the heartbreak breathe. And somewhere, in that stillness, I started to remember who I was before Logan. Before I was half of Loglay. Before my worth was measured in likes and subscriber milestones, and which couple challenge we were trending for. I was still her. She was still in here. And she was done being background noise in someone else's stream. I came back from the coast after 10 days. 10 days of digital silence, sea air, and more self-help podcasts than I'll ever admit publicly. And the very first thing I did when I walked into my apartment now, because I made sure his name was off the lease, was change every single password I'd ever shared with Logan. Spotify, Netflix, my Canva account, even the joint DoorDash he freeloaded from. Not out of spite, out of sovereignty. Because I realized how much of me was tangled up in him, my routines, my playlists, my algorithm, even my breakfast order. It had been us for so long that I didn't know how to just be me. So I started small, deleted every photo of us. Not in a burn it all down way, but in a set it free kind of way. Then I cleaned, scrubbed the apartment from top to bottom, blasting music that wasn't sad. Took down the wall grid with all the cute Polaroids and replaced it with framed prints of vintage magazine covers and quotes that didn't make me cringe. The bed felt bigger, the couch, quieter, but it was mine again. And I started posting. Not about the breakup, not directly. I wasn't ready for that, but I shared my coffee, my books, my playlists, my real life. And the response was overwhelming. DMs from girls saying thank you for showing them that healing didn't have to look like revenge dresses or thirst traps. Not that I judged either, do you? People wrote, "You seem like you again." And they were right, because somewhere between the public heartbreak and the private grief, I'd hit this point of no return. Not in a dramatic way, just in a I'm not shrinking for anyone ever again kind of way. And then, as if scripted by a bad teen drama, Logan reached out. Of course he did. He sent a long email, because of course he thought that was classier than texting. It was titled For What It's Worth. He talked about how much he missed me, how much he regretted what happened, how it got out of hand, and how he never meant for me to find out like that. Like somehow the timing was the real tragedy here, not the cheating. He said he was in therapy, that he was working on himself, that he hoped we could talk, just once. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. I let it sit in my inbox like a museum artifact, proof that I'd survived the collapse. A month after the livestream apocalypse, I got invited to a creator event. Not just any event, the event. The one Logan and I used to dream about getting invited to together. The one we used to joke about crashing even if we didn't make the list. Except this time, I was invited solo. Part of me wanted to decline. Stay curled in my safe little world of matcha lattes, and comfort shows, and healing. But Cassie wasn't having it. She barged into my apartment with 2 dresses, fake lashes, and a bottle of overpriced lip gloss. "You are not hiding forever," she said, handing me a dress that looked way too confident for someone still rebuilding. It was silky, black, backless, the kind of dress that made you stand taller just by existing in it. "Cassie, I can't wear this. It looks like I'm headed to a funeral," she smirked. "You are. His." And honestly, that was all I needed. The event was chaos in the best way. Neon lights, loud music, free drinks. Everyone dressed like their algorithm depended on it. I kept catching stares, people whispering. A few came up to say they were Team Lila, which made me want to cry and laugh at the same time. And then I saw him. Logan. Across the room, wearing the same stupid denim jacket he always wore to events, like it was some kind of signature look. He saw me too. He froze, mid-laugh, like someone hit pause. I kept walking, past him, around him, like he wasn't even a footnote anymore. I don't even remember what song was playing. All I remember is the exact feeling of walking past the person who broke me, wearing a dress he never got to see, and realizing I didn't owe him a glance, a smile, or a scene. He watched me all night, didn't say a word, just stood in the shadow of the girl he thought would never leave. And that night, I posted a single photo. Me on the rooftop, hair windblown, back turned. Caption: "Some things don't need closure, just distance." It hit 1 million likes in 12 hours. And for the first time in weeks, I slept without checking if he'd watched my story. After the event, something strange started happening. People stopped seeing me as the girl who got cheated on live. Instead, I became the comeback story. My content shifted. I wasn't faking soft girl vibes or forcing optimism. I talked about real things: burnout, betrayal, boundaries. I called it my reset era, and apparently, people needed that. Because suddenly, I was growing faster than I ever had without Logan, without collabs, without playing nice. And then the DMs started rolling in, not from Logan. He stayed radio silent after that night, but from others, other creators, girls who had been through similar things. A few big names I never thought even knew who I was. One sent me flowers, another offered to produce a mini-doc about my story. But the one that stood out? Jaden. Tall, tatted, known for gaming streams and chaotic energy. Very not my type, or so I thought. He sent a DM that just said, "That dress deserved its own stream." I laughed, out loud. And then, against all logic, I replied. We started talking, casually at first. Memes, music recs, occasional chaos screenshots from our respective comment sections. Then it turned into late-night voice notes. Then full-on video calls that lasted until my phone died. It wasn't romantic, not at first. I was still untangling myself from what Logan did. Still figuring out what I wanted that wasn't curated for a camera. But Jaden? He never pushed. He didn't love bomb or make it about him. He just showed up, consistently, quietly. Once, during a call, he said something I'll never forget. "You're not impressive because you survived that, Layla. You're impressive because you didn't let it define you." I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. I just smiled like an idiot and hoped my webcam quality wasn't making me look like I was about to cry. Because for the first time, someone saw me. Not the girl from the stream, not the storyline, not the character. Just Lila. Still healing, still messy, still here. Right when I thought things were settling, when I was finally finding this weird, beautiful balance between healing and being seen, life threw me one last curveball. And surprise, it had Logan written all over it. It started with a ping from an unknown number. Just a single message. "Did you really think no one would tell me?" I stared at it for a solid minute. No name, no context, but the energy? Pure Logan. I didn't respond. I wanted to. Trust me. I even typed out 3 different "what do you even mean" messages before deleting them. But an hour later, Cassie called. "You need to see this," she said, already screen sharing. It was a Reddit thread, some off-brand gossip sub that fed on streamer drama. Someone had posted a screenshot, blurry but real, of Logan venting in a private group chat. And yeah, his name was right there at the top. He was talking about me. She's faking it. The healing girl boss act is just PR. She already moved on with that Jaden guy, figures. She always needed an audience. I sat there in silence. It wasn't that I was surprised he still had feelings. It was that he still didn't get it. He thought everything I'd done, the boundaries, the silence, the growth, was for show. That I was just playing a new role. And it hit me like a punch. He never actually knew me. Not the real me. Not the girl who cried on the floor of an Airbnb. Not the girl who rebuilt her channel from scratch. Not the girl who had to choose herself over and over, even when it was hard. Jaden called later that night. He'd seen the thread. I braced for awkwardness, drama, mess. Instead, he just said, "I'm proud of you." I asked why, and he said, "Because the old you would have spiraled. The new you just keep going." And yeah, I cried a little. Again. Sue me. But in that moment, I realized something important. Logan was still stuck in the narrative, but I'd started writing a new one. A few days after the Reddit thread blew up, I got a call. Not from Logan, from his sister. We'd only met twice, once at a barbecue. Once during a chaotic family Zoom call, where his uncle accidentally unmuted himself while yelling at his cat. She was cool though, grounded. The kind of person who called things exactly as she saw them. So when I saw her name flash across my screen, I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. I picked up. She didn't waste time. "Layla, I'm sorry, I didn't know what he was saying about you. I thought he was getting better. I didn't say anything." She sighed. "He's not. And you don't owe him anything, but I wanted to say it. You didn't deserve what happened. Not then. Not now." I felt this weird lump in my throat. Because even though I'd been telling myself I didn't need validation, hearing it from someone on his side, it hit different. Then she dropped the real bomb. "He's planning to show up at CreatorCon. You're on the panel, right?" My stomach dropped. CreatorCon. A massive event for content creators. I'd been asked to speak on a panel about authenticity online. The irony wasn't lost on me. I thought he was banned. I asked. He found a loophole. Said he's just attending. Thought you should know. After we hung up, I just sat there, holding my phone like it might explode. Part of me wanted to cancel. Ghost the event. Hide. Dodge the final boss battle I never asked for. But a bigger part of me, this version of Layla who'd been rising, step by painful step, was done hiding. This wasn't his story anymore. It was mine. And I was going to tell it. Mic in hand, under bright lights, wearing something powerful with eyeliner, sharp enough to slice through whatever weak apology he was hoping to throw my way. Let him show up. Let him see who I became without him. CreatorCon was like stepping into the internet IRL. Ring lights everywhere, people vlogging in hallways, brands handing out tote bags like candy. It was overstimulating in the way only digital fame can be. I was scheduled for the afternoon panel, Authenticity in the Age of Algorithms. Cute title, right? A little ironic, considering my ex-boyfriend faked half our relationship for views. I wore all black. Not the morning kind, more like final boss energy. Black boots, structured blazer, hair slicked back. The kind of outfit that says, "I've cried all I'm going to cry." Before the panel, the coordinator asked if I wanted security nearby. I said no. Not because I wasn't nervous. I was. My hands were shaking, and I had to reapply my lip gloss 3 times. But I didn't want to play defense. I wanted to own the room. And when I stepped on that stage, mic in hand, facing hundreds of creators and fans and flashing phones, I felt something shift. I didn't talk about Logan by name. I didn't have to. I talked about what it feels like to lose your identity in someone else's algorithm. What it means to rebuild without an audience clapping for every step. How healing isn't linear, and sometimes it's not pretty. And sometimes it is content. And sometimes it's just sitting in silence long enough to recognize your own voice again. And then I said this. Authenticity isn't what you show when things are going well. It's what you choose to keep showing when they're not. The crowd went quiet. In a good way. The moderator asked follow-ups. Other panelists chimed in. I was there, in the moment, but also floating a little, like watching myself from outside my body. Until I saw him. Logan, standing at the back of the room. Hoodie, sunglasses, trying to blend in, failing completely. And for a second, the old me flinched. But the new me? She held the mic tighter. She smiled. She kept going. Because nothing he could do, not the cheating, not the stream, not the Reddit tantrum could take away what I'd built. Not anymore. After the panel, I stepped outside for air. The hallway buzzed. People asked for selfies. One girl cried while hugging me, saying I helped her leave a toxic situationship. And Logan? He stayed in the shadows. Just like every villain does, after the heroine stops chasing closure. The moment I left that convention center, it felt like something had snapped clean inside me. Not broken, released. Like I had been carrying this invisible thread tied to Logan, stretched thinner and thinner, pulled through every stage of grief and rage and silence, and it finally snapped. No apology, no confrontation, no can we talk scene in the parking lot, just me, walking forward, and him, standing still. I didn't text him, didn't post about him, didn't subtweet or vague caption anything, because the loudest move you can make is moving on, without turning it into a spectacle. That night, I went home and lit a candle, not for manifestation, or healing, or any of that TikTok witchy energy, just because it smelled good. I sat on my floor, opened my journal and wrote, "Today, I stopped being the girl who got betrayed. Today, I just became me again." It wasn't poetic, it wasn't a big public win, but it felt like peace. A few days later, Jaden sent me a care package, books, snacks, a hoodie that smelled faintly like cologne. No note, just a post-it with "proud of you" in his messy handwriting. And I didn't read into it, didn't fantasize about what it meant, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't trying to fill a space someone else had left behind. I wasn't aching to be chosen, I had already chosen myself. And if someone else wanted to walk beside me on this path I was building, cool, but they'd have to keep up. Because I wasn't slowing down again, not for anyone. 2 months after CreatorCon, I got an email from a podcast producer. Big show, millions of listeners. They wanted me to come on for an episode called Rebuilding in Public. At first I hesitated. I'd told my story already, hadn't I? But then I realized no, I'd only told parts of it. The collapse, the climb, not the route, not the why I stayed so long with someone who had quietly been tearing me apart, not the how I let myself disappear inside someone else's spotlight. So I said yes. And the night before the taping, as I was running through potential questions and making mental notes of things I wouldn't say on air, I got another email from Logan. The subject line? If you're gonna talk about me, at least let me explain. I didn't open it, but I did stare at it for a long, long time. He had waited this long, watched from the sidelines as I rebuilt everything without him. And now, right before the biggest platform I'd ever had, he wanted to explain? It felt calculated, desperate, like the last trick of someone who couldn't stand that the story had moved on without their character arc. And for a second, I wavered. Part of me thought, should I read it? What if it changes something? What if there's something I missed? But then I asked myself the real question. What part of me is still waiting for an answer that doesn't exist? So instead of opening the email, I archived it. Then I turned off my laptop, made myself tea, and went to bed. The next day, I sat in front of a microphone, headphones on, and told my story from the very beginning. I didn't name names. I didn't roast or drag. I just told the truth. And somewhere in the middle of talking about boundaries and betrayal and how easy it is to mistake attention for love, the host paused and said, "You seem so calm. Like you're actually okay." I smiled. "I am," I said. A year after the live stream, the moment that burned my name into a meme and shattered the version of me that once believed in perfect love, I threw a party. Not for revenge, not for aesthetic, just for joy. It was my birthday. And instead of hiding from the world or curating something Instagram-worthy, I invited everyone who had stood by me in real life. Cassie brought her obnoxiously large speaker. Jaden flew in without telling me and showed up holding cake like it was a peace offering. And me? I wore a dress that wasn't black this time. It was sunlight yellow, with a back that dipped low and sleeves that danced when I moved. I didn't wear it for a photo. I wore it because it made me feel unapologetically alive. Halfway through the night, I stepped out onto the balcony alone. The air was warm, the kind of warm that feels earned, like summer saying, "You made it." I looked around. No cameras, no ring lights, no one streaming my heartbreak for clicks or turning my healing into hashtags. Just people, laughter, music, me. And it hit me not like a punch, but like a breath. I never needed to burn it all down to rise. I just had to walk away and not look back.